The story will begin with a man who is going down a hill very excitingly, until he arrived because he was so excited about cycling. This cyclist fell, but he immediately grabbed the camera and took a selfie. This person's name is Aaron. Set in California, specifically in Death Valley, Aaron often explores this place. However, this time it was different from the previous ones. Ron met two lost girls. Aaron then approached them and explained their goal. The goal is to go to the dome. Aaron also got to know those whose names were Christy and Megan, are two very beautiful women who love adventure. Aaron, Megan, and Christy started their journey together to get to the dome. I don't know what kind of place is meant by dome. Ron suggests taking a path that will be exciting and drain your adrenaline and mental energy, where they will pass through a very narrow valley.
Engineer.
Ren had already memorized this road, which was when he was in a narrow gap. Ren threw himself into the hole, which turned out to be water underneath. After going downstairs, don't forget to invite Christy and Megan to come down and follow Ron's method of getting there. They were a little worried, but in the end they believed Ron's words. The three of them were happy and felt like they were enjoying life, which they felt was truly enjoyable. After finishing swimming, they continued their journey towards the dome. Don't forget to take fun photos to create memories, which are certainly very valuable. The end of their journey is to separate because Ron will continue exploring alone and will leave them. With a happy heart, Ron explored the valley accompanied by pop songs by rapper Eminem and Snoop Dogg. Ron was really relaxing. What he didn't know was that this journey was a very, very scary journey. Again and again Ron arrived at a valley with narrow rocks. He climbed like Spider-Man, Peter Parker, and John Cena. He passed through very dangerous rocks, which the U.S. Department also warned every rock climber to always be careful with rocks. This is because rocks are very easy to fall, which can cause rock climbers to be crushed or crushed by these heavy rocks. Up to where? It's true what I said. Ron's hand was pinched by a large rock that probably weighed more than Big Daddy's weight. Or the weight of the stone that is squeezing Ron's hand could be tons, which is why Ron can't get out. Ron, trying not to panic and be careless, he began to take out all the equipment that might be able to help remove his hand, which was trapped by this large rock. Ron tried to scrape off the stone that was squeezing him, but it was in vain, because the stone was very hard, and the knife he used was a thin Chinese knife. What an unfortunate fate. Time after time, hour after hour, I spent trying to get out of the crush of the big rock. However, there are no results yet to show that he can get out of a situation like this. Ron started making a vlog video containing his story about being trapped in a large, narrow rock. Ron said that he couldn't get out, and sadly now, he only has a small supply of food. Ron didn't know how much longer he could last. Evening arrived. It wasn't just a matter of food. The temperature in the desert was also very cold, reaching several tens of degrees, which causes Ron to have to try to warm his body in a situation like that. On Monday morning, Ron tried to tie a rock to another rock to provide a pushing and or pulling force so he could move the rock a little. However, the result is still the same. In the video, Ron said that his efforts were in vain because the rope for climbing was elastic and could stretch, so pulling this rock was a waste of time. Now Ron only has 150 milliliters of water reserves. Ron tried to cut off his hand using a knife, but the Chinese-made utility knife was useless.
Don't buy the cheap made in China moped.
Almost resigned to his situation, Ron began to remember the happy things he had experienced with his family, especially Ron's mother, who had given him an army knife which he had left in the car. Bad things keep coming. Now the rainstorm looks very thick in the sky, a sign that a big storm will fall soon. What Ron did was surrender to the situation where he couldn't do anything. Ron also held up his drinking bottle to store rainwater. However, over time, the water that was previously small turns large due to its position in a water flow. The huge amount of water almost drowned Ron. However, Ron managed to free his hand and move towards the car to seek help. That's when his vision started to blur. And it turns out it was all Ron's imagination, who was experiencing hallucinations due to dehydration, lack of drink, and no food left. Tired of things continuing like this, Ron tried to cut off his hand. He stabbed hard with the Chinese-made knife. In the morning when Ron woke up again and again he found himself hallucinating. The little Ron is loved by his mother. Because of this, Ron is determined to keep fighting and not surrender to the situation. He tried to climb a rock and pulled his arm along with him. Because of that his hand was now dislocated. Ron couldn't help but have to cut off his hand, otherwise he would die in this place. Ron tried to cut the knife into his hand, and stabbed it so that the skin was cut little by little. Dizzy because of this, he felt a little weak and felt like he was going to faint. But Ron still tried to prevent himself from fainting from blood loss. Long story short, he managed to cut off his hand and tried to get out of this fountain. The actual situation is determined now because of the lack of blood, dehydration, and only one hand that can be used. Aaron rushed home with blood dripping everywhere, but he was happy because he felt free. Now you have to climb down a fairly high cliff. Fortunately, Ron had left a trace of climbing, namely the iron supporting the rope, which was why Ron kissed him. Going down slowly with one hand was not an easy thing. He almost fell several times. Luckily Ron found water so he immediately drank it. The end of this video is that he managed to save himself and met people who were exploring. Give Ron a drink and get help. A typical hard day. Not everyone feels this way. Horror, fear, worrying, hunger, hallucinations. Now the tests and challenges have been passed. This is a true story that was made into a film. See you in the next video.
I love